Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Marhaba. Today, the Republic of the Philippines stands with pride as we witness the signing of agreements and letters of intent between our Filipino companies and our friends from the Jordanian business community. We hope that this momentous occasion, a first in our respective countries' history, will be the start of a friendship and the forging of strong bonds with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan in order to accomplish our common aspiration towards inclusive growth and shared prosperity. May I call to the signing table the Secretary of Trade and Industry, Mr. Ramon Lopez, and the Chairman of NAFIT International, Mr. Samir Mubarak. NAFIT International intends to explore opportunities in our country on logistics, planning, and operations. There is also an intention for NAFIT International to locate its regional office in the Philippines. Thank you, Mr. Mubarak. At this point, may I request Secretary Lopez to remain in the signing table to acknowledge the rest of the letters of intent. May I call Mr. Osama Kitayshat, the Managing Director of Universal Labs Limited, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Universal Labs Limited intends to explore opportunities in the Philippines for the manufacture of products from the Dead Sea for further export to the Asian market. This will make the Philippines the Asian hub for Dead Sea products. Thank you, Mr. Kutayshat. May I invite Mr. Isa Al-Fakuri, General Manager of Arabia Cell, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Arabia Cell intends to explore opportunities in the Philippines for mobile-related services and solutions, information technology, and software and mobile development. Thank you, Mr. Al-Fakuri. I would like to invite Mr. Imar Al-Aoyun, co-founder and chief executive officer of Dinarak, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Dinarak intends to explore opportunities in the Philippines for digital cross-border remittances from Jordan to the Philippines. Once realized, this service will be of great assistance to thousands of our fellow Filipinos now working in Jordan. Thank you, Mr. Al-Oyun. May I ask Mr. Jehad Almaso, Chief Executive Officer of Reprogene, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Reprogene intends to explore opportunities in our country for genomic testing services, which will be made available for hospitals and clinics. Thank you, Mr. Almaso. I would like to invite Mr. Anas Hijawi, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Mobile Z Nation, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Mobile Z Nation intends to explore Philippine opportunities in the ICT sector related to healthcare and insurance. Thank you, Mr. Hijawi. I would like to invite Mr. Rima Diab, Chief Executive Officer of Galaxy Organization, to join Secretary Lopez to the signing table. Galaxy Organization intends to explore further opportunities in the Philippines on technology and robotics, ICT development, cybercrime, artificial intelligence, green energy, and e-education. Thank you, Ms. Diab and Secretary Lopez. I would like to invite Mr. Jose P. Leviste Jr., Chairman of the 43rd Philippine Business Conference of the Philippines, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Mod Al-Shoha, Chairman of the Irvin Chamber of Commerce, to the signing table. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Jordan Chamber of Commerce intend to work together for the promotion, strengthening, and expansion of trade, economic, scientific, technological cooperation, and other business relations between both chambers, member organizations, and firms. Thank you, Mr. Al-Shoha. May I ask Mr. Leviste to please remain in the signing table. I would like to invite Mr. Adnan Abu El Rageb, Chairman of the Jordan Chamber of Industry, to join Mr. Leviste to the signing table. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Jordan Chamber of Industry plan to establish linkages between the business and industrial sectors in the Philippines and Jordan to facilitate cooperation and joint ventures among members and to increase bilateral trade volume between the two countries. Thank you, Mr. Leviste and Mr. Abu El Rageb. This concludes the signing of business agreements. We now call on the Philippines Department of Trade and Industry Secretary, Mr. Ramon Lopez, to introduce the President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Our Executive Secretary, It's an honor, great honor, to introduce the beloved President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly sit down, and thank you for your courtesy. His Excellency Muhammad Shahidin, State Minister for Investment Affairs, Her Excellency Halal Atuf, Minister of Social Development, Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano, Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldia, Trade and Industry Secretary Cabinet Ramon Lopez, Philippine Ambassador to Jordan Ahmad Sakam, our friends from the Philippines and Jordan business community, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. There's about 2 pages of my speech, too short to deliver my message. We are in a world of commerce and industry. And as a part of humanity, we are all agreed that we want to live in a world that is peaceful. Much as we desire, there are things which we have to cope up in this area. In our humanity, we want food for everybody, clean water, and environment that is still working to this day. All of these things are aspirations which no individual or nation can claim exclusivity. We have to work as a team. We have to reach out to people for better understanding. The connectivity that is desired for commerce and work would include human resource, either as talent or whatever manual work available, and we would like to treat our fellow men just like our citizens. The same protection, the same degree of treatment as a human being, and we want to avoid conflicts. We want to avoid wars. We do not want crazy people in government of the respective countries. But to our chagrin, there are a lot of them, and we're trying to fend off almost in every continent. There are some flashpoints which might lead to war. That we are afraid, and that's why we go out of our way to make peace and to talk to people. My country is relatively young. We gained our independence from the Spaniards and the Americans. The Spaniards for 400 years, and under the Americans for 50 years. We were colonized for so long that along the way, we lost our identity as a race belonging to the Malay. Like Indonesia, which was also conquered by the Dutch, and of course, Malaysia and Brunei by the British. All of these things are water under the bridge. But it makes us doubly hard to cope up changing our own culture because of the interference of colonial rule. What is true in Asia is true here in the Middle East. And that is because in Asia there were inserts for spies, for everything that is foreign, and maybe the mining industry grew by leaps and bounds during the American time. But as a feudal state of Spain, we probably endured 400 years. And it's not easy to forget. But we don't nurture hurts. We do not take revenge. We just go on with our lives and try to build a nation for the next and the next and the next until Allah wishes to end it all. So, my grandmother belongs to the Maranor tribe, where the siege happened. And she was in Maranao. And that is why along the way, I had a choice of so many religions. But one day I concluded, I got quarreled with the priests and the bishops and all, and I said, well, I only have one God. I do not know about yours. But maybe, just maybe, one day we'll realize that God is for all, not for a select few. Not for priests, not for the palaces that they have, not for the bishops, but for every Filipino and every citizen in this country, be they Islam or Roman Catholic or Protestant. There's a war going on in Mindanao. Used to be a issue of territoriality. Why? Well, because when Spain came to invade the country for 400 years, they arbitrarily included some of the Malay places which belonged to the kingdom of the, I will try to recall as fast as I can, the Sri Visayas Empire of the Malay. And of course, the ownership of these territories could generate issues of whose territory it is. But of recent memory now, we are coping up with something which is universal, which is not peculiar to Asia, not peculiar to the Middle East, and not peculiar to the Westerners. And some of them imported terrorism to their own places. Why? Well, that they can explain to us maybe someday. But as we try to go on with our lives, it brings us together. All men of goodwill and who are really decent and honest enough to admit that this is a world which is not always fair. Life can never be fair, but at least we try to understand each other. Now, for those who understand each other, we connect. We offer our facilities. We have good schools in the Philippines, medicine. A lot of our Indian brothers are there everywhere studying medicines. And we have some well-meaning friends from the Middle East who are there, Arabs, and they do business. And so this is a forum which I have just a few things to say, because the prince is also waiting for me. The concern of every businessman, be they Arab, Americans, British, or whatever, they go out of their country with their capital, build enterprises hoping that it will succeed and provide employment and profit. No businessman today would go to business if there is no profit. That you have to assume that he is there to make money. And I am here to assure everybody, all of our Jordanian friends. But if you are good at, I'd like to thank the king, your government, your people, you for inviting me to be here this afternoon. Second is that we have a lot of Filipino in good numbers, and they are here to make a living because things are pretty hard up. Philippines is somewhat the third largest producer of babies everywhere. We are hitting the 110 million Filipinos, and it keeps growing every day. And because of some religious disputes, family planning in whatever form is always taboo to, sorry to say this in public, by the Roman Catholic Church. And so for other religious people, we cannot really control them because it would be at the expense of the religious hierarchy. But then again, I have been openly advocating for it ever since I was mayor. I was mayor in my city for 23 years. I was a member of Congress, a vice mayor, and I have been there for almost. By the time I should have completed my presidency, I would have served my government for 40 years. And so I'm here because we want to make friends with the Jordanians. That is the very essence of my visit. And if I can convince some of you to try the Philippines, to do business, I am pretty sure that one of the things that you would like to demand, if you are to invest millions or billions, is there peace and order in your place? Second is that, are we guaranteed of our return of our investments? Third is that, can we depend on your talent, your manpower? In all of these questions, is the active labor front? Yes. And because some leftovers of the communists who are no longer here, but they are still surviving, a few of them, insurgents in my country. In Mindanao, she said it used to be a territorial because they were the ones. Islam came to Mindanao by almost 70 to 80 years. When Magellan landed in the Philippines, some 500 or so years, they brought with them the armaments, the muskets, the cannons, which were very, very foreign to our forebears. And so everything was captured easily. So, but the problem is this is not something which we can openly boast of the history of our because in the book it says who discovered the Philippines. Right in the history books of our government, of our schools, it says Magellan. And well, when I was young, I used to accept that proposition that some Westerners discovered the Philippines. To my chagrin, I now say that they came to disturb us, not to conquer us, because we were there since the history of mankind, since Adam and Eve. And that is why there are the leftovers of the claims of territory, not fairly divided among the Muslims over there in the first place, well ahead of Magellan in his trip, which was sponsored by, I think, the King of Spain, King Philip, and that is why it's called Philippines. Because Magellan, who discovered the Philippines, so they say in their history book, I hope it is now done in Europe, but not in my schools. I will one day order the statement be stricken out of our books and our history documents. The Philippines was there. The Arab missionaries came from the south, from Asia, then down to Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, then eventually went up the Philippines. That is the history of the Philippines. So this is squabble territorial, but I said of late, we have been disturbed by the coming of the ISIS. Not of territory, not for anything else, but a history so corrupt that the ideology is only one, to kill and destroy. And that is why leaders of men of goodwill invite each other to talk about it. I do not want to kill any Arab or Muslim or Filipino Muslim for that matter. My grandmother is a Muslim. So please, I'm just trying to come here to just tell you all about it. So if there's trouble, I cannot say that it is trouble-free, but that is down south, going back to Indonesia and Malaysia. Philippines, for most of the parts, central Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, relatively, it's peaceful. Business can thrive there. And if you say a place where there is law and order, I would say yes. My answer would be yes. Now, is the national government capable of accepting and embracing foreign money? I would say yes, on all counts. We need investments. We need the money to finance the huge population, education, medical care, everything. So we need help. Help in terms of business where you can make your profit. If you go there and try to discover things, and if there's a thing that is capable of making you succeed in business in my country, I will invite you. But there is one thing which I would like to guarantee you. Maybe you've heard some other time about the Philippines being corrupt. Yes, most of them in the past. But I tell you now, I give you this solemn commitment that if you go there, it will be business with ease. And as a matter of fact, you do not have to travel from one place to another to get a permit or clearance or whatever. I will create a department just to receive your application. We will do the processing. We will give you a list, a shopping list of what to produce. If everything this is in order, there's no need for you to follow it up. We will advise you that your papers have been approved and that you can start your business. And there will be a roadmap there. It's a map where you can, it's color-coded. See, so whether it's good for mining here, it's good for agriculture, fishing. And we have many talents. We have an excess of talents, but Filipinos are really brighter than the colonials. I don't have to name them, but they were colonials, just the same. And maybe they can come here, learn from you, or we can also help learn and then pass it to the young people of Jordania. I will guarantee you the return of profit. There will be no corruption. And if you ask anything, even a toothpick, I will guarantee you, you can have my audience any time of the day or night. And I can call the guy in front of you, but if I shoot him, you just walk away. Leave me with the police to talk about these things. I hate corruption. Having a prosecutor for almost, I was a trial lawyer for almost a little over 9 years before I became mayor. And it explains my penchant of being, running things the tough and tight way. This is only when you have to be in this kind of behavior, or at least your paradigm, that you can set things right for your country. No question about it. You go to business, yes. Are you assured of your life that you will live? Yes. I was about to ask, you can bring in your family? Yes. If you have families, yes, you can bring them too, along with you. So, the thing is in business is that business wants to thrive unmolested, undisturbed by government. The least interference that government does over the business community, the better for all. So we passed a law is in doing business. But if you do not want to, Manila is a crowded city. You have your commercial attaches. But if you need help in your papers, we can run the papers. And from time to time, just give me our address so that we call you and say, hey, there's one thing. But it would not be a repetitious thing. Just like what you would ask from a foreigner investing in this country, we're just about the same. You have an environment, and then you have the public works, if there are any objection to the building, and so on and so forth. Well, all of these things will be above board. And I said, I do not talk to anybody about money, asking money from you. I will give you the privilege. If some idiot starts to talk about bribery, slap him twice for your country and your effort in going there, and for my country also, because I am put to shame. 2 slaps would be good, and let me know. You have many friends here, Filipinos, who are having businesses here. I said, this is not a joke, and I'm trying to pun it, but you can have my audience anytime, especially if it is a matter of a complaint about corruption. I cannot and will not stand for it. And if I cannot control corruption, if I cannot control everything that is there, having been elected for almost, 3 years, coming fast, then it's either I can control things or I resign as president and give it to somebody who can do it. Me, I'm just trying to be of help, and one of the few countries that I've been to, one is Jordan, because this is not really to go into patronizing, but you know that our countrymen are very satisfied how they are being treated here. And just like in Israel, they do not have complaints at all. And they said that maybe you can help us extend. But I said, yeah. If you want to stay here permanently, there are plenty of Arab bachelors there around. You can get married and have children, and a Filipino and Jordanian blood mix the mixed will. I was introduced to one, a lady who was a Jordanian father and a Filipina. And she's more beautiful than a Filipina, more fair than the average Jordanian hot male. So with that, I leave you my goodwill. And if you happen to be in Manila, they call it, I do not call it a palace, but it is known to be Malacañang Palace. That is a building built by the Spaniards where the governor generals of Spain used to stay. I do not stay there. I cross the river Pasig every day to a little house near the military camp who's responsible for my safety. Malacañang historical. We can have coffee, lunch or dinner, whatever appeals to you. And of course, I said, I leave you my guarantee that we will be friends and we will nurse and nurture it fully so that someday my people can really say that you paved the way for the good relationship. If there is anything that we can do, if you are short of your army, let me know. 110 million. How much or how many? You need 1 battalion, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll send them to you. So no problem. I will commit my government in the right side of history. The right side of history is that you are fair, and that you can understand the problems of humanity, and that you realize that you need as much as I need you in order to work this place called Earth, beautiful and working for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that inspiring message. This witnessing of the signing of business agreements will not be complete without a commemorative photo with our President. I request the President and officials on stage to go down the riser for the photo session. First, we invite Minister Mohanad Shehadeh, Minister of State for Investment, Jordan Investment Commission, and Minister Hala Latuf, Minister of Social Development, for a photo opportunity with our President. Thank you very much, Minister Shehadeh and Latuf. Next, we invite all the principal signatories to join the President in front. The signatories, please. Thank you very much to all our principal signatories. Last, we ask everybody to stand up for a group shot with the President. Exit to your left, please, to our signatories. Exit to the left, please. For the last photo, we ask everybody to stand up for a group shot with our President.
Okay, kindly please stay in your own places. Just stand there, please. The photographer will, this is for the group photo. Just stay on your place. The photographers will take the group photo. Tara, dito.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Kindly clear the path for the President.
Thank you. We wish to thank our President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and our Cabinet Secretaries for honoring this event with their presence. On behalf of the Philippine government, we thank our Jordanian partners for sharing our vision of a more prosperous and vibrant economy. Shukran. Maraming salamat po. Hello. Please be seated while our President and